Hi, everybody. Hey, everybody. All right, hopefully someone let me know if the sound is actually working. I'm trying to use my headphones, and so I have no idea if it's actually working. But if it is, someone let me know. There's a little bit of a delay on here. Sorry, we're a little bit late. I couldn't technology, so it's fine. Everything's fine. The girls are in bed. Hopefully you guys are doing good. I don't have any like major agenda for any of this, so I thought we would just like hang out and chill. I have a ton of questions that you guys asked over on the community tab. Oh, like my hair is doing something funky. That's exciting. Um, but okay, good. People are saying they hear me. Hi, everybody. Um, so yeah, that we're just gonna like hang out and chill. And if you guys end up liking these, I was thinking of doing them like once a month because they're just kind of like fun. I don't know. So hey, everybody that's here. I appreciate you being here. I'm always nervous when I do these that it's going to be like me and my mom. I don't even know if my mom's watching or my sister. She's been a solid supporter. So if you guys have any questions at any point, just type them in here or we can just chat. How are you guys doing? I feel like things are just crazy right now and life is weird. But I appreciate all of you being here and along on this ride for me or lying with me. It's not for me. This is not for me. My brain, guys. We're going to really try. Okay. Maria Psarsky said, "Hey Liz, do you think it's a good idea for my daughter to write a thank you card to her former neonatologist during this time?" I think that would be super duper sweet. If I don't know, I think, yeah, I would do that. I think anything towards any, hey, everybody who's joining, Shar, Nova, Irene, Lisa Floyd, Sarah White. Hi, guys. I think anything you do for anyone who works in anyone really in the world, but especially anyone who works in healthcare right now, would be appreciated. I think that any inpatient specialty is really hard right now, especially like the NICU. I know sometimes there's no parents that are allowed in, which I just can't even imagine, or there's only one. And so I'm sure people are going to be getting like the backlash of that. So I think that would be super sweet. I mean, I have always loved when either my previous patients or anyone has written me a note, like I keep them in a folder and that's what I read on the days when I'm like, I never want to go back in that building ever again. That's what I look back on is all the notes from like my parents or the kids. I have like drawings from kids and it's just like, that's what keeps most people going. So that's my like, I need to be happy box. So I would definitely have her do that. I think that would mean the world to them. Hi, everybody who's just joining. Anhi Hernandez says, to be a nurse, would I have to go to nursing school or could I do it at a university? If your university, nursing school is just usually like a major at a university. So as long as your university had a nursing like major, then you could do it that way. I'm Abina Mainu said, I'm starting nursing school in 2 weeks. That's super exciting. What are they doing about clinical? This is something that stresses me out, and I'm not even in nursing school, so I can't imagine being in your shoes and like what they're doing with clinical. That just seems, are they doing it online? Let me know if you guys or if anyone's doing like clinical online, because how would that even work, right? But I feel like you could walk through like the here's what I would do next, but you don't get any of the hand-on skills. Anyway, my rambles. How are you? I know it's a hard time in the whole world. Oh, thanks. I'm okay. I'm okay. I get yelled at a lot at work and it's starting to wear on my soul, but it'll be okay. Overall, I don't have any, I mean, I have a job and I'm very grateful for that. Joe has a job, so I feel like overall we're very good. I hope you guys are good too. Um, Someone said they just started, Brie Christine said she just started her midterm for ABSN. Good luck. You're halfway through. You can do it. Hi, Sharcy said, hi, having problems getting NP clinicals during COVID-19. Any suggestions? Oof, that is hard. I don't know, guys. I talked about this a little bit in my last one, but I feel like, well, one, like I have a video that I talk about in general, just like how to get nurse practitioner clinicals. And a lot of that's just reaching out to people through like LinkedIn. You could use just any of your local like health system, just like email people and see if anyone's willing to do it. But I feel like, I don't know, I'm kind of annoyed that schools are still having people do clinical, but that's my own like personal, I just don't feel like it's a good learning environment right now. It's getting a lot better now that things are calming down. But I feel like it's, I don't know, it's just like a little bit of chaos. So all of that to say, I would try LinkedIn and just messaging people on there and cold calling, and it's miserable. And when I rule the world, NP school will have to provide preceptors because it is garbage that they do not. My school provided mine. I found a few of mine because they took so long, but even then, like it was so stressful. So I can't imagine having to find all of them. So I am so sorry. That sounds miserable. Um, Hi, Kindy said, any tips on someone applying to nursing school who's nervous? I mean, go for it. You just gotta go for it. You know what I mean? Like, if that's what you want to do, then I think you can do it. You'll be able to do the things that you need to do in order to be successful, and you got this. You can and you have to believe that. You have to believe that you've got it, and you can absolutely do it. Um, CM40 said, I've been an NP for 22 years. Hang in there. Stay grateful for sure. It's hard to stay grateful sometimes. I'm trying. I'm trying to remember in the last couple of weeks of why I feel like most healthcare people are probably trying to remember why we got into this. And we will remember in a month or two. But right now it's like all of my choices, all of them. What was I thinking? um, and Deb said, where should you start working first? And should I start working in a hospital or long-term care? How long does it take to gain confidence in your field? Wherever you want to start working, honestly. Like, to me, long-term care just sounds like a nightmare, but I know a lot of people, like some people absolutely love it. So I think, and the hospital sounds like a nightmare to a lot of other people. So wherever sounds good to you, like just go for it. I think it's silly when people say like, oh, go here or you'll lose your skills. Skills are the easiest things to learn. Like I could teach anyone skills. It's the thought process and everything behind it. So don't even worry if people are like, oh, don't go into, like, say you want to go into long-term care and you don't want your here people will be like, oh, don't do it because you're going to lose your skills. Like you can learn skills. That's not the problem here. Um, Virtual clinicals, we have a foundation lab and just do all the ATI modules on Zoom. Is that helpful? Like legit, is that helpful? If you've done clinical like in person, also and also online, like are they comparable? Because in my head they're not comparable, but I haven't gone through it, so I can't really say anything. You know what I mean? People are just stressed and angry at all, yelling at all of us in healthcare. It sucks, but it will be okay. That's true. That's very true. It will be okay. I need to remember that it will be okay. And people are just stressed. Like it's just everyone having really hard times. And then you're, of course, the one that calls them. You're like, hey, how are you doing? And then they tell you how you're doing. And then they are all mad at you. You're like, oh my gosh, I wish I could fix people. I wish I could honestly just have like an hour with everyone and just like let them spill their soul. And I feel like everyone just needs like an hour of therapy a week. I feel like that would be very helpful. Um, but it's so expensive, guys. Like, why is it? I was thinking about this is like my random tangent. I was thinking about how unfair it is that therapy is really something that, because most, unless your insurance covers it, then that's great, but mine doesn't. And I know a lot of people who it doesn't. Like, it's such a thing for an elite group of people. Like, that's such a, what am I thinking of? You're so privileged if you're able to afford something as simple like therapy. And I feel like everyone's going to need it after this. And it's just going to be like, no one can afford it. And it's just going to be a mess. And when I rule the world, mental health care will just be so much better. Guys, should all move to my world. I don't know where we're going to have it, but it's going to be pretty great. Um, no clinical at all in the hospital, and they're debating on doing clinical online. Yeah, that's just crazy to me. DynaMed or Up to Date? I've never used DynaMed, and I don't have Up to Date, although I am toying with buying it, but it's like $450. It's more than that, but with AANP, you get a discount for like of 20%. So I calculated it out, and it was like $41 a month. You have to pay it all at once. But I'm like, I feel like it would be worth it. But at the same time, that's a lot of money. But I do desperately, it's a wonderful resource. I had it for free in school and I used it all the time. Um, Studying for biochem today. Oh, good luck. That is, mm, mm. Hello from, you all know how I pass biochem, aka finding smart looking engineering students, dressing cute and sitting next to them. Don't be me. But it really worked well. They were more than happy to explain anything and be my lab partners. And I was like, oh, thank you. I don't know what's happening. That and organic chemistry. That's how I survived. Hi, Erica Daniels from Raleigh. Oh, neighbors. Doximity is like LinkedIn for medical professionals. That's interesting. Someone said like me, and if you guys don't follow Real World MP on here, you should. Someone said that the interview I did with her was like on Doximity, and I had no idea what Doximity was. So that's good. I was like, I don't know what that app is. Now I do. Thank you. Do you think introverts can be nurses? I honestly really love helping people, especially in family care, but I'm worried my disposition might not be enough. Yeah, I think introverts can be nurses for sure. I don't think anything about like your personality, unless you hated people, maybe then you could work in the OR. I don't know. Um, I feel like you can do nursing no matter what. There's like a different fit for everybody. You know what I mean? You don't always need a bunch of like outgoing nurses. That would just be chaos. You need like all sorts of different people to come to the table. And I get asked a lot, like, I don't know if like I'm this, like, could I be a nurse? And I feel like there's just like, yes, you know what I mean? Like, if you want to, I think you can. I think it's society and Instagram and you like everything kind of portrays a certain type of person who is a nurse. And I think that's just because like, and I think a lot of times it's like loud out, like I'm pretty loud and outgoing. And those 10 people maybe tend to be the more people who are like, I'm going to plaster my life on the internet. You know what I mean? So that's what you see. But there are so many different types of humans that are nurses. You know what I mean? There's definitely also nurses who don't like people. Don't be those people. Don't be a nurse if you don't like people. Um, when can we expect you to be a Disney blogger? Yeah, that first we have to, have no more travel bans, and then I have to have like a plane to get there, because buying like airfare back and forth is very expensive. So I figured I just need to own a plane. I need to have Disney passes for all of us, so that's also kind of expensive. And then I need to have somewhere to live while I'm there. So also expensive. So I think I would probably, I don't know, like in $50,000. Let's meet then. I have way too many. Oh, we can't even tackle Disney vacations until my student loans are a little bit. We'll probably go on like maybe one trip a year, but that's not, I think you have to go more than once a year to be a Disney blogger, unfortunately. One day, guys, one day we'll get there. I need to take the HESI test. Do you think I'll be able to by the deadline of July? I have no idea. Did they let you do it remotely? If not, maybe not. But I know a lot of places like are letting you take even your like NP exam online. So maybe they'll let you do it like proctored online. Um, I would look into it and see. We're doing virtual simulations for my mental health class, which is good. It's not the same as real life patient interactions. Yeah, that's one of those. I feel like I'll be honest, my mental health rotation in nursing school, I learned nothing other than, I mean, not that I didn't learn anything. You know how you're supposed to go in and like learn how to therapeutically communicate? None of that happened. I just learned a lot about human behavior, and it was more of, I did not realize prior to that how very sad mental health could be. And I think that opened my eyes to that. So I think that class is really good for that you kind of can get in there. And I had lived in a very nice bubble before that. And I did not realize quite like the depths of schizophrenia, bipolar, homelessness, and how all those commingled and the whole framework that was a lot of public health and like uh, outpatient and inpatient mental health facilities. So that's the most what I gained out of that. So if you somehow can immerse yourself in like that understanding, that's really all you're missing in your psych rotation, to be honest. That was just so sad. Oh, we need such better mental health care in this country. It makes me angry. We won't talk about it. Do you know anyone that had an underdog nursing story? I have a BA in epidemiology, but my first year of undergrad was pre-med and my GPA suffered. I think a lot of people have been able to, boost their grades back up. I mean, my grades they weren't like, I didn't have the best grades because I was also pre-med and the classes were just brutal. So I kind of just like took some other classes and like, tried to increase my GPA in other ways. If it's a GPA thing, like you just have to do the math and figure out like if you really want this, you might have to retake some classes and you might have to, you can calculate your GPA. So you just have to figure out what classes you have to do and how well you have to do. So at the end of the day, that is fixable. That is a fixable problem. It's not, like you have murdered someone. That's a lot harder to get fixed, don't murder people and then want to go to nursing school. My DMP and FMP program finds your preceptors and clinical placements. That's the way to go. If you can get someone to find your clinical placements, I feel like most of the schools that are in person, like my program was a hybrid, but like we were on campus a lot. They found mine. A lot of the online only ones seems like they don't. And it blows my mind that we don't like that. I think is just such a detriment to NP education. But you all know I'm going to revamp all of nursing education one day when I rule the world. where we have, yes, it'll be a good place. Any recommendations for a nursing student on how to get experience before graduating? What kind of experience, Jessica? They assigned us shifts at the student health center and did initial intake calls and provided some sort of telehealth care over the phone. Oh, for like, I think site clinical, they did like community health stuff. So that's good. That's helpful. Well, I'm very behind on messages. I might not be able to get to all of them. I apologize. Thanks for all for being here. Hi, Alyssa. If there was, oh man, if there was one thing you could change about the field, what would it be? Um, the field of nursing? Oh my gosh. Healthcare in general, everyone would have access to it. Um, and it would not be a for-profit thing. It would be something that you get because you're a human. I think that would be great. Um, Graduating NP school 7 years ago and went into urology and more recently took a job in primary care and obesity medicine. Do you think primary care skills will come back to me? I think it'll take a little while to like ramp, like you went from being very narrow in scope to now you have to know everything. I would give yourself like honestly like a year. You already know how to do the things like write notes, talk to patients, use your resources. So that's a super huge bonus for you. I think now it's just remembering everything else. You know what I mean? You've only been focusing on urology. So now there's just so many other systems that are at play. And I think that that would take me a really long time to like ramp up to. Is bullying around nurses still as common these days? Yeah, it's a huge problem and it's embarrassing as a profession. Maybe that would be the thing that I would change. Like, I feel like that either giving everyone access to healthcare or changing the horrifying hostility that exists often in healthcare, not only among nurses, but amongst like, there's a huge hierarchy amongst physicians, like just everywhere. It's very competitive. And it's just not a great thing. So, I mean, it's not always like that. At all. I've worked on like one unit was really bad with it and one unit was like pretty good depending on like the shift that you work. So I think you just have to find a good spot. But in general, it can just be kind of tricky. Hey, thanks, Karen. Let me see. How have you used the app House Party? No, what is House Party? And how is your mom? She's good. She's doing a lot better. She's doing a lot better. Thank you. I think she's finally over the hump where she's feeling a little like more like herself. So now, of course, she wants to do all the things, and then quarantine happened. I told her it was kind of good that quarantine happened in a way, not good at all, but like it's kind of kept her a little bit more having to follow her treatment plans. So she's not all out and about town. Let's see how I'm an introvert. Oh, good. You guys are giving advice about if you are not, everyone is not outgoing. FNP or acute care NP for hospice and palliative care. Look at the job postings and see what they want. I would think probably FNP. I guess it depends on what population and what these services in your area offer. Usually pediatric palliative care is its own thing in my experience. But I would just see like, are the company, this goes for across the board. Any job you want, just look at what the job postings want. They're going to say, if they just have like an open blanket statement, NP, okay, then you can probably pick. But some of them are going to be like, we want FNPs, we want adult gero. And then also just think, do you want to see peds? Adult gero is like 13 and up. So if you have no interest in providing hospice or palliative care to people that are younger than 13, then you don't really need to because you wouldn't take a job that required that. You know what I mean? There are robotic nurses out there and they are efficient, but in my opinion, don't provide the best care to patients. I agree. There are definitely people who come in and out and they're like much more cut and dry. And like she said, they're very like, they provide safe care, but I think there's something other that you should offer other than necessarily sometimes just like safe. I think sometimes it's nice to have something like a little bit of kindness and just like, some love on them. Is it possibly to be healthy physically and mentally as a nurse? I know it can be stressful. I think so. I think you have to just have really good boundaries. There's an account on Instagram, Whole Life Nurse, and I think she's doing like, she promotes a lot of that, of like, a lot of nurses, I feel like we think that, and I know I have done this before, that you feel like you have to be a martyr for your profession in a way, like, oh, well, I have to work the overtime, or like, I have to do these crazy thing, like just deal with situations that are, if my husband came to me and said, like, my job is doing this, I feel like all of us would be like, they made you stay at work for 20 hours. Like, what? Like, are you okay? Like, you never get a lunch break. You never do all of these things. And like, it would be insane coming from a different profession. And I feel like as nurses, a lot of times we're like, we almost expect it. I don't know. Our mentality is different. And I don't think that's good. Um, so I think if you have healthy boundaries, you're at a job that respects you and there's like mutual respect there, and you don't pick, honestly, like I say it all the time, but don't pick up overtime unless you like really, really, really want to, because you need to balance it. Yes, you're only working 3 days a week, but don't pick up, I don't know, I would avoid picking up an extra day. And I would do something like, if you want to have some other like side hustle or project that will be fulfilling on the side, that maybe even can earn you a little bit of money, versus being there 4 days or 5 days a week, because that, if there's no balance there and there's not enough time off and away, you're just going to get so burnt out. I think that I had a good balance, honestly, at my last nursing job. I really enjoyed it. I never worked overtime unless I was mandated to, and our mandated overtime was capped. And so sometimes I would hit that, but I never really picked up. Um, like, I I said no a lot to a lot of things when people, I don't know, you have to just know what makes you happy and what your boundaries are, and then stick to it. And people might talk crap about it, but whatever, it's not their life, it's yours. um and then in terms of physically, I don't know honestly if it's possible to long term work with adults, maybe on like really heavy floors, and stay physically healthy. Like, I feel like I did it and my back died, and that was just because it wasn't realistic. Like, they are like always like, oh, use a lift team. That's not realistic to use a lift team all the time when all 5 of your patients can't move themselves. Like, there's only like 4 lift. You know what I mean? Like, that's not realistic. And I feel like eventually your back would get sad, but that would just depend on the unit that you work on. You don't have to work on that for everyone. Um, what? Let's see. Happy Nurses Week. I found out it was Nurses Week today, guys. Someone was like, what are you doing for us for Nurses Week? And I was like, well, I just found out it was Nurses Week as you said that. So happy Nurses Week, everyone. And happy, I think it's like Teachers Week. I always thought it was kind of weird that we shared the same week. Like, there's so many weeks. Couldn't we each get our own? But happy Nurses and Teachers Week, right? I don't know how, everybody who's out there, you're all doing a great job. Moral of the story. Do you have any tips for an online nursing school for an accelerated BSN? Take it one day at a time. One day at a time, you're going to have a really good planner. Advice for those of us who are about to start our nursing programs completely online due to COVID. Ashley, I think the classes part will be fine. The lab part will not. I don't know how they're going to make that up. I hope they figure that out for you. And like I said, I don't see how you could do it without in-person clinical. But so my advice there would just be like, hang in there. And there are thousands of other people who are in the same situation, and it totally sucks. I think it's irresponsible, if I'm honest, that nursing schools are continuing. I think it's just kind of like a money grab. I think they should postpone a little and collect themselves and figure out, because it's such a hands-on thing. Like, you need to have some hands-on instruction. Um, and so I think they're just continuing because, they're getting a lot of money. This might be my like conspiracy theory mind, but I think it would be more responsible for them to pause, but they're not. So moving forward, I mean, everyone's going to be in your situation. And some of the classes, it's totally fine. Like, maybe they've restructured the program to have all of your like non hands-on classes in the beginning, because you still have to take those, like patho and pharm and blah, 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 foundations and all those other dumb classes they make you take. I'm not biased about any of those at all. Maybe that, like, they could restructure it that way, but everyone will be in your position. So it's not just you. I think that's my biggest advice, is it's not just you. And employers are going to have to work around this in a year or two when everyone graduates. That, oh, not everyone has had the experience that we're typically used to working with. So it is not just you. Um, and it'll be okay. It really will. They're going to have to figure out something because it's going to be a whole slew, a whole graduating class of nursing students or 2 years of nursing students who are in this situation. How do you feel about CBD products? I'm in nursing school and I smoke every night for anxiety. I have heard good things about it. I don't promote it to my patient. I don't like tell if they come to me and they say they're like using CBD, I'm not like, oh, stop. I just tell them we don't really know what it interacts with. I think there's promise in it if I'm being honest, but there's no studies for it. And I only promote things that are like, there's like evidence behind. So I hope they look into it because I think there's, like I said, a lot of promise with it. And I would love for that to be something that could come in and be like something that's helpful with anxiety, especially. It seems to be really helpful with that and pain. And I mean, anxiety and pain are huge. Like, I have so many patients with both of those. So I would love for people to do some research on that and for it to be a little bit more regulated so we would actually be able to provide recommendations, based on not like, I feel like there's a lot of variety between what you get at the gas station and maybe through, I don't know where you find legit CBD. But I just tell people, be cautious with it. We don't know how it interacts, but hopefully in the future, we will have it a little bit more studied and we will know a little bit more. I think people are doing that. Actually, luckily, we don't start clinical in the fall at least. That's good. I really think it'll be fine then, honestly. Like, if you don't start clinical until the fall, lots and lots of programs do online didactic or like coursework. That'll be fine. It's fine. It's just hopefully you can get on campus for a lab because I don't know how you would train to do like all the things like a Foley on a lab unless you have a very, very brave family member or roommate. It's like, oh yeah, let's go. Um, how I just watched What I Wish I Knew Before Becoming a Nurse and have a question. I'm still in high school, so how does nursing school compare to high school class and difficulty? I would say nursing school is a lot harder. They don't hold your hand at all, but I think it depends on how hard your high school is. My high school was, I would consider hard, but high school compared to nursing school was way harder. You can do it though. You just have to, figure out what studying method works for you and you'll be okay. You can do anything you set your mind to, guys. You really can. You just have to figure out the method that you need to get there. And I look at things one day at a time because I'm not a good student. I'm not a good student and I'm not like one of those people that learns really quickly. So one day at a time. We can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. I very much promise. Um, I have a bachelor's in psychology. I also have all my nursing prereqs. Do you think an ABSN or is an ADN better? I watched both the videos, but it wasn't clear. Oh, that stinks. The point of those videos was to make it clear. I mean, it just depends on what they hire in your area. If your area doesn't hire ADNs, then that's not worth it. I think I think the goal is usually you're more hireable traditionally across the country if you have a BSN. So an ABSN is going to get you there quicker, but it's also much more expensive. So it depends on which one's more important to you, getting there quickly or cheaper, really. But both the education should be pretty equal. Let's see. Medical offices are opening in Massachusetts next week, and the hospitals are encouraging other visitors now that hope that indicates nursing students may get to go back to clinical. It might. I think that a lot of it'll depend on like the PPE and all of that and how I would hope they take into account like the vibe of the unit because I feel like some places, depending on how severe it is in that area, it's going to be really a good learning opportunity if things are chill. And if things are not chill, it's not going to be a good learning opportunity. If a lot of nurses are getting laid off, which is happening in a lot of places because the money makers, like the surgeries, cardiac, all that stuff is closed. You don't want to go and learn somewhere where everyone's getting threatened with being laid off or where they don't feel safe at work. It's just not going to be a good learning environment. So I hope they assess that. Let us see. My state just tried to mandate all citizens going into public to wear masks, and the general public did not seem to take this well. Or is the state I live in recommended we wear masks, and I'm like the only one who is. Most people are kind of live in the country, and people are people in my area, it's very sad, are very convinced that this is all a hoax. And here's my mini, like, I get so frustrated because this is what I hear from a lot of my patients, and it's what I've heard. Obviously, a lot of people, like, if you go on social media, think that this is all being like blown out of proportion. And I think it's a huge disservice that the healthcare industry has done is to, we really like to keep everything hush hush. Hospitals put a gag order on a lot of their staff so they can't talk. So how is the country supposed to know how crazy, like how sad a lot of this is and how real it is if no one's allowed to talk about it? So I think healthcare in general does a horrible job of making everything seem perfect so they don't get sued. And what does that really do at the end of the day is it projects the image that everything is fine, and then they wonder, why are people rebelling and revolting in the streets if we do not show what it's really like? You know what I mean? I feel like I'm fairly privileged because I don't work for a major hospital system. It's just a tiny office. So there's no gag order. Like, that's why I can say whatever I want, but obviously HIPAA compliant. But so many people can't. So no one knows. You know, we know a lot of people who follow healthcare people on social media have somewhat of an idea, but how different would this be? I wonder a lot, like how different it would be if we let other people in and to see, like, look at the PPE we're offering, like, look at the situation. Here's really what it's like to work in a hospital. Um, I just think not only during this situation, but in general, maybe things would be much different. Maybe people would be kinder to people in healthcare. Maybe there would be less lawsuits if there was just a more understanding of like what goes on versus everyone keeps this composure all the time of like, this is fine and under control. And it's not always, which is fine. No one's job is ever fine and all under control. That's my soapbox. I'll get off. Would you ever consider doing anything else for work besides nursing? I mean, I tried to be a teacher and it didn't work out. I had no patience. Disney vlogger, guys. I'm going to be a Disney vlogger one day. Just wait. That's my backup. That's my plan. Do you have any tips and tricks for being able to balance family and work? I'm struggling right now. That is hard. So I obviously work super part-time, and that is how I balance it. I think really the only way to balance it is to very much dedicate any time that you're at home to family. And you have to prioritize, you know, your house might not be clean, your dishes might not be done, things might be chaos, but you have to be with the people. That's at least how I kind of prioritized it when I was in school and wasn't working so part-time. Was my life outside of the humans that I loved was chaos. My house was a mess. Like, my mom would come over every like month or two and just clean, and it was the only time it got cleaned. Like, those things had to not become important. And then if you have the resources, maybe like outsourcing that, you know what I mean? Like, know what is important to you and you have to let other things go. And it's just impossible otherwise. You know, you cannot do everything. And I think the quicker you try to realize that and really internalize it and don't give yourself any down talking crap, anything for like what you're not doing. You just need to realize what you are doing and that you are doing a really great job. So I would focus on that as much as you can and know that you are doing a really good job. Balancing family and work is so, so hard, but you're doing a really good job. I just scheduled my NCLEX today and I got on YouTube. Congratulations. That is super exciting. You're going to do just fine. And then you're going to feel so great when it's over. Oh, hi. Thanks for the super chat. I don't really know what to do with those. Thank you. Cody Tyler. Hello. $60 every 2 weeks for a house cleaner. $60 every 2 weeks. I'm trying to figure out if that's good or bad. That seems like very reasonable, right? I'm thinking of like yeah, that seems good. I would do that. That's next one. As soon as I pay off my loans, that's what I'm going to get someone to help me clean my house because it's not clean and I need assistance. That's one of those things that I just don't prioritize. Like, I don't have time because between I work part-time, but then like doing this, like I definitely work over 40 hours a week with the two combined. So one day that'll be my thing is I'm going to get someone to assist me cleaning my house. I can't, like, I feel like finding a chef is a lot more expensive, so we can just have that first. Um, Demo, what was your question earlier? I'm trying to keep up with the chat, guys, but I'm so happy that so many of you here, but there's a lot of, and I so appreciate all your comments, but I'm struggling to keep up with all of them, which is a delightful problem to have. I remember I did one of these. I used to do these and like had to, it was like me and like three other people. Um, I A few nurses at work quit their job because of the uncertainty. I don't doubt it. Everyone who's working in the hospital right now, like massive kudos to you because I just, would you recommend nursing to someone who doesn't really like the sight of blood? Because I'm interested in healthcare, but I'm not a fan of seeing like surgeries. So you don't have to see surgeries. Um, as in like you might have to see it once in school, but most it's not like you're doing you're or like in the OR, or I probably wouldn't, like maybe not go into an ICU because sometimes I know they do a lot of procedures at the bedside, at least where I worked, they did. But you know what I mean? You probably will have to see, you'll have to see blood, but as long as you just, if it's the surgical aspect you don't like, then just don't go into surgery. You know what I mean? I hate sputum, like hate it, gag. I need to wear a mask so that I don't, like my face doesn't look like ugh. So I knew I could never work on a respiratory floor. And I probably would not be well suited to work in like an ICU where you're constantly sucking a bunch of junk out. So we did have trach patients and I dealt with it, but I knew I shouldn't probably work in that setting all the time. So just I wouldn't work in maybe like a surgical specialty, maybe. Um, but as long as you learn to just like handle it, and you can handle it, you'll be fine. If I can handle sputum, you can handle blood. Um, I am an RN on committees and go to the required floor meetings and shared governments meetings, plus a ton of continuing education. What is this part of the job for an NP and looking towards AG, ACNP? I don't really know, to be honest. I am not that type of human. I'll be real with you. I work at a really small office. So I do some quality improvement, mostly because the woman I work with is like, here, we have to do this for certain standards that we do to be like a patient settled medical home. So like she handed me that. But if I worked in a big institution, I would be involved in zero things. So I have no idea. There's probably quality improvement councils that I just don't know about if you worked at a bigger institution. I'm sure there's like leadership boards. I'm like a sit in the back of the room and talk with my neighbor type of person during like meetings and anything. And I only ever did unit-based committees so that it would look good on my NP school, uh, what's it called? Application. So I'm the worst person to ask. If anyone knows how can Bend in the Trail get involved because she's a wonderful person and she wants to be involved, how can she get involved? If you know of anything like that, let her know because I'm sure there's opportunities. I just don't know about them. I am moving to the US from the Ukraine and I want to enroll in a nursing program. Oh, I have no idea. Guys, I don't know anything about international nursing. I get asked these questions all the time and I feel so bad because I just don't know anything. Does the requirement significantly change the whole education process or not? If you're already a nurse, I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know anything about how credits transfer. I don't know. What's your primary personal goal in your work? To educate patients, to help them prevent. I just want to keep them out of the hospital if I can and educate them about their own disease processes. Hopefully prevent them from getting there. But then if they do get there, so say you have someone who then develops type 2 diabetes, I want them to understand what type 2 diabetes is, what it does to their body, how they can keep it from getting worse, how they can manage it, and what long term this is going to look like based on the different choices and the different ways it works in their body. I, as a nurse, saw way too many people land in the hospital and have no idea what their chronic illness was, why they were here, what was happening. No one had ever explained to them cholesterol. And I would like that if my patients landed themselves in the hospital for their blood sugar being 800, I want them to at least know how that happened and why it is bad. But hopefully they won't. They'll know they have to come and have quite a chat with me after. Would you suggest a non-traditional nursing student to do the first 2 years in a community college and then transfer to a regular one to finish? Depends on, like I said, does your area hire nurses from an ADN program? And what's more important to you, your time or your money? You know, if you just want to be done, then obviously the more traditional path usually gets you there quicker, but a lot of people can do it with almost no loans through an ADN program, and that is awesome. As someone with a lot of loans, jealous. I don't think anyone in healthcare that's still working has a clean home, so don't feel bad. I got over feeling bad about my house being a disaster forever ago. I tidy it up because I need it to be like tidy, but the cleaning thing doesn't really happen all that much. What is the best way to prepare for FNP clinicals? I secured a pediatric rotation. Just bringing like resources with you, I think is really helpful. And just being willing to like learn. I think just learning and listening and having resources with you so that and asking to only manage a few people. I think that can be kind of hard depending on who you're working with, but I think knowing how to advocate for yourself, what you need to see, what you want to see, what you need to learn, you are the advocate in that situation. So the biggest things are just gathering what resources you have and showing up and be willing to have a slightly uncomfortable conversation depending on the temperament of the human you're with and saying like, this is what I need to get out of this. And this is what I'm hoping to do. And if they're like, okay, sometimes they're going to try to like stomp on you with their ideas, and you need to be able to try to be like, I was like trying to think of like, would it be okay if I looked at 2 or 3 cases, you know what I mean, and like really managed them? Because I feel like a lot, at least in my clinical in the very beginning, before I kind of figured this out, that everyone was like, just go do the HPI for everybody. Just go in and talk to them. And I would go in and talk to them. So I got really good at like asking them questions, but then I didn't have any clue what questions I was missing or like what happened to this person, like what the whole treatment plan was. I was like, all I know how to do is talk to people. And I've been a nurse for years. So I know how to talk to people. Like this is useless. So biggest thing I wish I had known then was one, bring your resources, bring your laptop. That way you're not sitting there twiddling your thumbs if they don't have a laptop for you. Learned that the hard way. And just stand up for yourself. You need to use that time to the best of your advantage, and no one is going to advocate for that. So you need to. Do you regret becoming an NP, especially with the loans? No, I don't actually have any loans from NP school. They're all from my BSN, and I do really like it. Like I said, I feel like I've been really grumpy about it lately, but overall, I do like it, and I think I will. I like it. I just hate what's happening right now, so I think I'll like it again soon. But no, I don't regret it. And like I said, I don't. My loans are from nursing school. My employer paid for half of my as like a benefit of working there. My employer paid for about half of my MSN, and then I was married, and so I was working still in school like full time, and Joe was obviously working full time. So we just kind of bought a house that was, I mean, we just lived like much cheaper. I don't want to say cheaper. We lived in below our means or whatever so that we could just pay for NP school, which is a method. It's not the most fun, but it works. Disney Beach Club, November, conference. Contact me if interested. Ugh, I wish I could go to conferences. I don't get a allotment, but you guys should do that. That sounds like fun. You want to go to Disney World and go to some kind of conference? That sounds like a great time. All right, guys, I'll probably wrap things up here in like 7-ish minutes, just so we all have a warning. I need to drink water. Let's see, it said, as a high school senior about to go to college, would you recommend that I go to community college for the prereqs and then transfer to a nursing school or go to a 4-year college? Like, I feel like this is a common theme. It depends on what you want. Call it a 4-year university is maybe going to streamline the process for you. It might be quicker. It might not. For me, like I loved college. My major wasn't nursing in my first degree, but it was such an experience for me that I would never trade that for the world. So like I would like if my girls want to eventually go to college and they know, like I would encourage them to do that because it was just such a fun experience. So it kind of depends on if you're just trying to do it as cheap as you possibly can. And ADN is almost always going to be cheaper unless you get a lot of scholarships. But the experience of it, like I don't know. Is that probably worth like an insane amount of loans? Probably not, but like it was just a magical time that I highly recommend if you are able, if that is something that is available to you. Um, Sorry, I wasn't trying to skip over you. There's a lot of questions, which I very much appreciate. Did you find the core classes or the prereqs more difficult? The prereqs, because I didn't care about them. What is the bridge? Oh, I started a question and then I lost it. If you get an ADN and there's a bridge, yes. Okay, good. So you guys are talking to each other. That's perfect. I'm glad you can help each other. Um, Road to AGNP. So educational wise, what's the difference between an ADN and a BSN? One has their bachelor degree and one has their associates. You have more like, so a bachelor has more like classes that are based in like theory and research and all that stuff. It's just fluff. Um, Hospitals like it because then they can try to get like magnet status and it looks better. You're the same, like I personally don't think you're any better of a nurse if you have your BSN versus your ADN. You've just taken some fluffy classes, but here we are. Mrs. AJ, I completed my ASN first and then completed my BSN 8 months later and finishing up an FNP program. You're almost done. You have like days. You're so close. That's so exciting. I will negotiate conference in, yes, do negotiate. Conference is when you get your job. I have very little negotiating power because I work so few hours. And when you work so few hours, you don't get any real, like, you don't usually get benefits, but you should be able to, most places give you about 2,000, or you should ask for about $2,000 as a nurse practitioner for your continuing education credits. So do that unless you're working like 14 hours a week, in which case you don't really get anything, which is fine because you're working 14 hours a week. Let's see, I'll take a couple more. But that's so exciting. Oh, I'm so excited for you. You are so close. I feel like we've been on this journey together. You're like, no, we haven't. I've been doing all the work. I'm really excited for you. Do you think you can still work while in nursing school? Yeah, I worked while I was in nursing school. Lots of people worked while they were in nursing school. You can do it. Let's see, Holly. Holly's joined us. Come here. Oh, hi. Oh, say hi. The video's lagging, so I can't see if she's in the frame, but I think she is. Want to say hi to your YouTube friends? Holly comes and joins me as soon as the girls go to bed. This is her time to get cuddles. There's a stick in your fur. There's a stick in your fur. Oh, we need to have a brush. We need to have a brush. Any tips for a new grad RN getting a job without prior hospital experience during a pandemic? Go to the Resume RX on her Instagram. She has so many different templates. If you use the term or code Nurse Liz, you get 20% off of any of her templates. I have bought them. I've bought her whole like course and it was phenomenal for like revamping your resume. So recommend that. And you can get 20% off. So that's what I would do if you're trying to find a job now or ever. Everyone's saying hi to you. Oh, puppy. I look like a lady named Joan Mitchell. I don't know if that's good, but I'm going to pretend it's good. Holly, you're so famous. Everyone loves you. Oh. Okay, bye-bye. Holly's over this. She's like, yeah, we're done. All right, I think I maybe got sort of caught up. I think maybe. Thanks for being here, guys. All right, well, I think maybe I'll answer like one question from the people that left comments because I feel really bad. I was like, hey, leave me questions, and then I didn't answer any of them. Holly, you're going to help me pass the boards in 2 weeks, live proctored remote testing. Holly will be an excellent distractor for your proctor, and you decided to go for it. I'm so excited for you. You're going to be so great. I think that's good. And just getting it over with and going for it. totes the way to go. When Brianna Cavalieri, oh, names. When should nursing students begin studying for the NCLEX? Should you buy or keep your nursing school books? I didn't study till I was done. Well, I didn't really do a good job studying for the NCLEX. I studied for the NCLEX for not very long. You should do more. After school ended, because I was working at the same time and I didn't have any time. Same with NP school. I should have studied for the NCLEX more, but it's fine. I would do that after you graduate, because unless you have time before, but by all means, I didn't. NP school, I know you didn't ask, but someone else did. I studied for 6 weeks and only after, because again, I was working and I had a baby and I was like, who has time? There were people in my program who studied for the NP boards and NCLEX like during school. And I was just like, how? Like, how are you doing this? Someone in my class, she was a superhuman, took her NP boards like 3 days after maybe even 2 days after we graduated, and was like, she was at her job, like practically off of orientation as an NP before I had even taken my boards. So that was cool. I was like, way to make me feel like a failure. The only class or book I would recommend keeping would be like anatomy and maybe physiology, but I've never looked at them. That would be more of like if you need them, like actually anatomy could be cool to keep. I never looked at anything else. I kept them. The only other thing I kept was maternal child nursing, and that was because Holly ate my book, like ate the spine of the book, and no one wanted it after she ate the spine of my $400 book. So I was like, cool. What was it like when you went back to work after having a baby? How did you manage with childcare? Any advice to a new mom returning to a nursing job? It's going to be harder on you than it is on that baby. They're going to scream and they're going to act like it's harder on them, but it's really harder on you. And you need to remember that. All they need to feel is like they'll be okay. They're going to get used to it a lot quicker than you will. Just drop them off and leave. Yeah, you just got to do it. I didn't go back to work I went back to like clinical when she was 5 days old, which I wasn't like great. But I don't think one of the biggest things that I wish I had just like internalized, and I had postpartum depression, so I'm a terrible example of asking for this because I was like everything that went wrong. But with Piper, I'll tell you what I did kind of with Piper, because my mentality there was a lot the same of like, don't feel guilty. You should not feel guilty for going back to work if that is something like, and fulfilling that part of yourself. I feel like there was, just everyone will be like, oh my gosh, like, how can you leave your baby? How can you do all these things? Whether it's like you want to go back to work because this fulfills you a human, or like you need to so that you can raise this human, don't feel guilty. Like, they really will be okay. Like, I have a lot of people told me Avery would never love me or know that I was her mother. Avery knows I love her and that I am her mother. And I was gone a lot when she was a baby, and she's okay. Like, I think she's okay. I mean, we'll find out in many years, but you know what I mean? Like, they're going to know you're their mom. I know it's going to go through your head that like, oh my gosh, like this kid's it's going to be okay. You need to do what you need to do and then not feel guilty about it, because if you feel okay about it, that's what will project to your kids. It's like, this is okay. Like, mom goes to work or dad goes to work, whoever it is, this is what happens. Like, kids will just embrace that and that'll be their normal. But if you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, like I have to go, even I think little kids will pick up on that. You know what I mean? So it's always like a positive thing. Like, I'm going to go to work and this is just what it is. Know that it does get easier. That first few days is really, really hard. And like, I think that also brings back into like, especially when you're a new mom, let things go, because when you are at work, like be at work and do the thing. And then when you're not at work, like be with your baby, you know what I mean? And enjoy them. And it's just going to give you such better balance. I felt like a lot, I needed to keep everything in order. And I wish I had, when I let that go, and it was just like, well, my house is a disgusting mess, but like when I'm with you, I'm with you. And when I'm at work, I'm at work. I just felt a lot better. So that would be my advice there, is let go of things so that you can spend quality time with that baby. And just enjoy your family and know that they're going to be fine. Like, if people tell you it's a crazy thing, like people are, and everyone always is going to give you their opinion. You're just going to be like, be quiet, just be quiet. Oh yeah. And everyone loved Holly. I'm glad you all loved Holly. She was like, really thought she was getting into something else. I think she just wanted me to take her on a walk. She's like, what is happening? Normally this is our downstairs time. And you're on the couch and we're watching a show. Why are you up here, mom? Why are you up here? Someone said I lost it, but what do I do for stress? I exercise every day, usually. And I mostly just like exercise and try to take a moment to myself. I wake up earlier than everyone else so that I can like start my day without people demanding things of me. That's also been helpful. And I have had, yeah, mostly those things. I have had to stop drinking wine on the nights, real honest, that I work because I did find I was like looking forward to that a little bit too much. So I'm no longer doing that because that was becoming a problem. And I don't want to become someone who's just, like racing to the end of the day for that. So have had to stop that and replace that with more exercise and water. Have fun. But I feel like it's maybe helped my attitude better because I was really starting to like, I don't want to go down that path. Do you recommend the NP Picmonic for board review? So I recommend that to supplement areas that you struggle with. I would do, I use that for a lot of pharmacology review from the boards and supplementing areas like that I didn't understand. So, like different immunology things that I didn't get. I've talked about the coagulation cascade a lot because I just don't get it. I used it for those because it was helpful with memorizing that. Um, Christiana Hospital is an amazing hospital. Oh, it is. That's where I did all of my clinical. I don't know what the original comment to that was, but Christiana Hospital is a really good hospital. I know a lot of people that works there. Okay, I think, let me see, I'll answer one more from here, and then I think we're gonna go for a night because I have to go watch my McMillions show about McDonald's on Hulu. If you guys watch that, let me know because Joe and I are three episodes in and obsessed. Just how, let me see. I feel really bad that I didn't get to any of these questions, but maybe we'll do another one. Do you guys like these? Let me know. Because maybe, would you want to see these like once a month instead of a video? Like, would that be good or bad? I'll leave a poll up probably on like Instagram, but you let me know here too, because you're here. Well, you probably like it because you're here, but at least I hope you are not sitting there being like, I hate everything. Um, let's see. Okay. I'm trying to. A lot of people ask me for like a TEAS. Do you just say that T's? Nursing tips. I didn't take a TEAS exam, so I am no help there, but I'm assuming that a lot of people in the world on YouTube have taken that, so they can probably help you. I watched that show. Yes, I know. Loved McMillions. Yes, we are. McMillions is about the monopoly game that McDonald's runs and how it's actually owned by like it was infiltrated by like the mafia and was all a scam, essentially. So, and there's this guy from the FBI who is just so extra, like so extra, and just is the greatest thing in the entire world. Yes, also, Jazz, yes, psychology degree, not my. I literally swear, like, yeah, psychology. It requires you definitely have to go to like get your master's with psych. I feel like otherwise it's very undetermined. Psych. I ended up being a psych degree because so I was pre med, which was some kind of bio something. And then I went to my advisor and I was like, I actually want to go to nursing school. And like neuropsychology it fit all of the classes. I just had to take like 2 extra classes. She's like, you already have all the prerequisites for this. Like, I literally was just like, I don't care what I graduate with. Just like, what can I graduate with? I want to take my nursing prereqs and all of this and swish it into my like end of my junior and my senior year. And she was like, well, you could have a neuropsychology degree. I was like, great, sweet. That was wonderful. Like, whatever. So yes, it's like not super, you can't really do a lot with your undergrad psych degree, but it's fine. We're all going to be fine. We all get to sound very smart when we're like, oh, yes, I have an undergrad degree in psychology. Everyone's always like, what do you do with that? I'm like, absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. It's going to look really cool on my wall one day when I have like an office. I will just get to list a whole extra degree and be like, look at this extra degree that I have. Thank you. Okay. Thanks for being here, guys. I think we're going to go wrap things up. I'm going to go watch my McDonald's show. I so appreciate you being here. I'm glad you like the lives. And yeah, Thanks for dealing with my technical difficulties. Sorry if I didn't get to your question. I am slow at reading, and it was exciting because there were a lot of you. So thanks for being here. I hope you have a lovely week. We're all going to be fine. It's going to be okay. I'll try to be more positive. I feel like I was kind of cranky there in the beginning, and I apologize. I did not have enough coffee today at all. Okay. I wanted to be a nurse psychologist so bad, but they don't pay anything here. Yeah. You need to be able to pay rent. All right, guys. Have a lovely night. Thanks for being here, and I will see you next time. Bye, guys.